Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I am on to do my Helmar project for the month of April, and I thought today that I would make a journal cover with you. This is the cover I'm going to be making. Heaps bright, cheerful and fun. But I wanted to do a fabric cover, and I wanted to use the spray adhesive that Helmar has. I wanted to try something with that, so you'll see that as we go through. So it's just a blank cover and it's ready for me to put some signatures in. So make sure you stay tuned to my channel, because sometime in the next month you should see the completed journal. So I have my book cover here that I want to use, and the spine in it is way too narrow for me to make a journal with, so I'm cutting it out with my craft knife. So I'll be making a new spine for it and using the front and back cover. So once I've cut the spine out with my knife, I go in with my scissors and just trim any little bits that are hanging off. I also grab any bits that are on the spine that I might want to use in future projects. I collect all sorts of rubbish. But I think there was a word on that one I wanted. So now I've got some chipboard, and I've just measured about 1 3/4 inches across, and I've done that twice on the chipboard. And then I put my book cover up against the chipboard to figure out the height that I wanted it, because I wanted about the same height. And I'm just cutting those pieces out with my knife. And that's going to be my spine piece. We're going to join those two bits together, and that'll be a very nice sturdy spine and a bit wider for me to put some beautiful pages in. So I want to stick those pieces together, so I drag out my 450 and I do quite a liberal coating on one piece of the cardboard to adhere my two pieces together. And then I just use some of my clips to hold on to it to dry while I get on with some other bits and pieces. So now we want to attach the spine to both of our covers. So I'm using a line on my cutting board there to butt them up against, so that I know that they're pretty straight. And I put them side by side, and I leave a couple of millimeters gap in between the spine and each cover piece. That's just so that covers can be folded up nice and easy. And once I've got them positioned where I want them, I just grab some masking tape to hold them like that. So it's good to check every now and again that your covers will still open and close nice and freely. Once we add fabric too, that bulks up in there and makes it a bit harder to close them, so you've got to make sure you've got a bit of a gap there. I repeat the process with the masking tape on the front of the covers. So this is the fabric I want to cover the cover with. It's a bit sheer. I'm going in with my spray adhesive there and just spraying it on, moving back and forth as I do it, and you can see it looks a bit like snow. I'm also spraying this other piece of fabric, and that is so I can stick them both together. For a permanent hold, you want to spray both surfaces. So I lay one fabric on top of the other one and then press them down, and you can sort of reposition by pulling it up and getting your wrinkles out and putting it back down again. You've got a bit of wiggle room there because it stays tacky for quite a while. So once I'm happy with that and I've let it dry, I go and cut the overhang off. And with that, I just fold it up because it's still a bit tacky. So I fold it together and put it in my scrap fabrics to make clusters with. So to apply the fabric to the cover, I'm using my fabric glue here. Another reason for doubling up the fabric was it's not only is it sheer and the words and that would show through, but also sometimes you get the bleed through from the glue. So I thought by doubling it up like that, I can use my fabric glue and it's not going to bleed through. So I just apply it to the front cover and the spine and press it down. And I use my bone folder just to run in where the groove is between the spine and the cover. I like to make sure things are stuck down nicely in the little grooves there, or else when you open and close you get a bit of bulk from the fabric. So now I put some glue on the back cover and then just press the fabric down. The spray adhesive works so well to stick the fabrics together because it doesn't bleed through at all, so that worked out so nicely. Just checking that my covers are closing all right still. So I chop off any excess that I don't want from the fabric. And then we've got to cut the corners. Now, I'm no expert book coverer. I'm really bad at it, but I'm learning bit by bit, and this is my method. It's a bit rough, but sort of works. So you just got to not cut too much off, which I used to always do on the corners there. And then I cut these little wedges down where the spine's joined to the covers. I don't go all the way to the cover, but just a bit to take away some of the bulk so that when we fold them over, it's not impeding on our ability to close the cover. So I do that at the top and the bottom. I usually stick the top and bottoms down first and then the sides. So I'm just pulling the fabric over and pressing it down using my fabric glue still. With the corner bits, I just like to tuck that little bit in or else it sticks out and looks all weird. So I put a little bit of glue in there and I just play with it and tuck it down in there to try and get a neat corner. Then I apply glue to the spine and the other side there so I can stick them down. I like to stop and turn it over and just check that there's no wrinkles or anything before the glue sets properly. So just doing the other corner here. So once top and bottom are done, I'll do one of the sides. And then I've done the other side, and then I go in and just finish off any little bits that haven't been stuck down properly. It's always good to double check and just finish off these finer details. So I'm using the spray adhesive on these two offcuts of the fabric and also on a piece of scrap paper. You can see the spray was blowing my fabric around. I'm sticking the fabric onto the paper to make some pockets with it. Now, as I said, it's sort of a permanent fix if you spray both surfaces, but you can use it as a repositionable glue as well if you just spray one surface, which is handy for some applications. So I've just got a cardboard box underneath so I don't get it all over my desk. So while that's drying, I've got this piece of cream fabric that I have ripped. It's just a tad shorter than the height of my cover. and it's about an inch or so overhang from the spine there on either side. So I'm just sticking that down onto the chipboard spine, and then I'll go and stick down both edges. I also make sure I get some glue in the little dip in between as well, and I do push down in that to help it fold together and not bulk out. So that's going to stabilise the spine even more, hold everything together, and it also looks a lot nicer in between your book signatures. It is a bit crooked, but that's not going to matter because we will add some papers to the inside covers. So I'm just using my tacky glue there to get any bits that haven't been stuck down yet. So I've got these yellow end book pages that I have cut out for the inside covers. And to decorate them, I've got these awesome Groovy pictures from Joey's kit that I'm using. And I'm going to stick one on each of the cover pieces. So this is Joey Cardmaker's Groovy 1960s retro kit. The link for that will be down below. It's heaps fun, bright, cheery kit. So this is where we want to use our pockets. So what I need to do is cut them out now. Then we have to measure out how big we want them. So I'm just putting it up against the page to see how long I want it, because I want this one as a side pocket. I decide to fold over the edge of my pocket there just to make it a bit smoother to put things in and out. So I use my scoreboard for that and just fold down about 1/4 of an inch or so. I'm just checking how straight it is. Not very straight by the looks. So just straightening up one edge and putting a line there where I want to cut it, and then I put it up against my paper to see how long I want it, and then rule another line there, and then I can trim it to the size that I want it. Then I've got to check the width. So put a little mark where I want to cut it, and then I just measure it so I can rule a line to cut along so it's semi-straight. Usually I do all of this by eye and nothing's ever much straight, and I thought, well, you know, doing it for a creative team project, you figure you should try and get it pretty straight. So then I just tack that little lip down. Then I've got to repeat the process to do a bottom pocket on this page. Before I stuck them down, I did sew in straight stitch on the opening side of the pockets, and then I sewed them onto the pages with zigzag stitch. Now I'm just using my fabric glue to stick the whole page down onto the cover. And I repeat this process with both of my inside cover pieces. Now we're on to the front cover decoration, and I have some of my rickrack. I have so much rickrack that I've got from the secondhand stores, and I don't get a chance to drag it out much, so this was great fun. I thought I might as well just go with a pile of colours here, so I've got some pink rickrack. And again, using my fabric glue for this. Just running a real fine bead of it along the rickrack. I know I want to put some of those flowers down the bottom there, and I don't want too much bulk underneath them. That's why I'm sort of looking where they're going to go so I know where to end the rickrack. I've never tried a retro journal before, so this is something new for me and heaps and heaps of fun. I think I've decided I'll try my tacky glue and see how it goes. It's a bit easier when you're doing the finer details because I've got it in the fine tip bottle. Also, if you get any ooze out from the tacky glue, it does dry clear. So I've got these cover pieces, so it's a bit of, I think these are both pieces from the freebies. Joey has a freebie in his Ko-fi, which I'll also link down below, that actually goes with the Groovy kit in his Etsy. So I've used them and backed them onto some coloured book pages as well to use as the cover pieces. So I just figured out where I wanted them and put some pen marks down so I know where to stick them once I've got the glue on, because I'm forever figuring out where I want something, picking up, putting the glue on, and then putting it where I don't want it. So I'm learning to leave some marks there. So I do the same for my girl here. I've put some marks down where I want to put her, and I'm just using my tacky glue here to adhere that. I do swap between glues a fair bit. The tacky glue is great for paper on paper, so that's why I'm using it here. Then I put my last bit of rickrack on because I thought that it would be nice to have it overhanging a bit of my paper there. It's definitely a retro rickrack, that one. It's so old. It's got these little white dots on it too. So I was thinking, do I cut the rickrack off? But if you do, you've got that edge there and things bump it and it comes up and that. And so I thought, well, why not just fold it over and it can be a bit of a page decoration on the inside cover as well. So that's what I'm doing here, just sticking them down to the inside cover. So back to the front, and I have these flowers. These are retro also. I think they came off of a dance costume a long, long time ago. And they did have diamantes on them, I think, that have all been pulled off, hence those little red marks. They've been hanging around here forever and they've never suited anything I've done. So when I decided to make this cover, I found them and went, yep, they're going on that. I finally got a use for them. And I love the way they turned out. They fit in perfectly. So I think I used my tacky glue there for the first one or two. because they're going straight onto that smooth fabric. The tacky glue worked quite fine for that. A lot of the other bits and pieces I ended up using the fabric glue for because I was sticking them onto themselves or the rickrack. And when it's sort of your lumpy, thicker or shiny fabrics and that, then the fabric glue seems to hold them better. So again, as you use your glues, you sort of naturally figure out what's going to work better with what. And it is handy to have a couple of different glues when you're doing projects like this, I find. So I liked using the flowers and the leaves to stick at the end of the rickrack, so it's not such a harsh ending there, for lack of better words. So I thought these flowers went well with the floral theme that runs through the kit. I just love how all the retro stuff, the colours and that, they're just not my thing. They make me want to vomit. But then when you make something like this, they look awesome. It's very weird. So now to finish off the inside, again, I don't like the harshness of how the rickrack's finished off there. And I really wanted to use these numbers, the 1960 from the kit. There's a set of numbers in it, and so I grabbed the 1960 and I backed them onto some book pages as well, just to make them a little more sturdy. And I'm just arranging them. I think they make the rickrack look a lot nicer. And it was great to fit them in somewhere near the front as well. That was a fun make and it's turned out really nice. Love it. Can't wait to fill it up with all the goodies that I can find. Beautiful kit too that I've used for the pictures in here, and that's from Joey Cardmaker, his Groovy 1960s retro kit. So you can go and check that out. Also, the links to Helmar will be down below if you want to go and check out their glues as well. So I used a range of the Helmar's glues on this. As you saw, I used the fabric glue, the tacky glue, the 450 and the spray adhesive. And it's turned out beautifully. So it's all ready now for me to put in my signatures, and I did add an eyelet to it once it was done as well, so I can put a dangle on it once I've finished. So the signatures, when I put them in, will be sewn through the spine. So you'll see the sewing at the back here. But I love the fabric, and it goes so nicely with the pictures and designs from Joey's kit. And the glues stuck these flowers down in the rickrack really nicely. So, and that's the inside with our two pockets. And the spray adhesive worked really well for that. Great idea to use it for that sort of thing, and for what I did with the cover as well. So I'll be using more of that in the future. Oh, it's good to sew around the edges though, just in case you've missed any area with the spray. And that's the back, just plain. So I hope you enjoyed that and it gave you some ideas on how you can create a cover yourself with an old book cover. And a massive thank you to Helmar for their awesome product. And I will see you again soon. Bye.